Welcome to the Basketball Addicts Podcast. Today we are going to be breaking down matchups of the Atlanta Hawks versus the Philadelphia 76ers.
That was a good one. That was a really good one.
2021. We predicted it. Well, I did. I predicted they would win.
Yeah,
We're going to break down to you. We're going to give you down to some statistical information. And this is a new series that's going to be running for the next 7 weeks, and it's basically we're going to be describing why matchups matter so much in the NBA playoffs. Give you a ton of examples of teams pulling off upsets against teams with better records in the playoffs. So it's like an exciting podcast, an exciting series. Do you have anything else you want to say before we start talking about this matchup?
Yeah, it's going to definitely be an exciting podcast, exciting series as well. Just something to think about for the Atlanta Hawks is that, this was a team that before, the All-Star break was like, we were like, tag, like this team not making it nowhere. And then they just came and shocked us. It was really weird. As soon as Nate McMillan took over as head coach, they completely became a completely different team.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to get right into it. The reason why I predicted that the Atlanta Hawks were a bad matchup for the 76ers was because I believed that they had too many scorers, 1 through 12, that could shot create for the 76ers to beat them. And, in the 76ers were the 1 seed in the East that year. And we're going to break down how we got that right. But what do you think about like that intro to the idea and the 1 through 12 nature of the Atlanta Hawks that season?
Oh, for sure. They had, I think, Lua off the bench. They had John Key, who was having a breakout season. Trae Young having a breakout season. DeAndre Bembry. Is it DeAndre Hunter as well?
Hunter.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter, Bembry. You had Kevin Huerter, who was playing phenomenal.
Bogdanovich.
Capella.
Gallinari.
So many shooters, so many shot creators. So many guys who get their own bucket and who can become nightmares for a team that don't have many shooters. And all you have to do is really once you break down Ben Simmons, then they only have Joel Embiid left. And Joel Embiid wasn't the player that he is now.
Yeah. So I basically chose them because they have more shot creators. The Philadelphia 76ers were a very defensively minded team. They had Embiid, Simmons, who was an amazing defender, Darian Green, who's been a very good defender for a while, Matisse Thybulle as well off the bench. The offensively important players were Curry, Green, Simmons, and Embiid, and Tobias Harris. The team was very efficient at scoring inside. So what do you think about that? Like describing what the Philadelphia 76ers were at that point in time as a team.
Yeah, they definitely had their bread and butter was the inside game. Their best shooter on the team was Seth Curry. Tobias is iffy, but he mostly, post up and kind of shoot from the mid range, but he can knock down the ball just like Joel Embiid. So that pretty much makes sense in the fact that which I really was hammering home last year was that sometimes Ben Simmons can't hit a three. That really breaks down their offense, especially that you need Joel Embiid to be able to operate on the inside, and you need to pull Ben Simmons out because you can't have them both clogging the lane because he has to be 10 feet from the basket, or he's not effective, or he has to be. Another thing, he has to be able to make free throws.
Yeah, I agree. I think that team, also on top of that, had a lot of talented defenders individually. So, when you knew you were going to get 19 to 18 points a game from Tobias Harris, and that Embiid was going to be very consistent and dominant, and they had good shooters, and they have a very consistent level of scoring and defense that they were going to put out every night. And that led them to the number 1 seed. So what do you think about like a team that has a consistent level of scoring in the playoffs? You know what you're going to expect.
They're easier to, when you have a team that's consistent, especially in the playoffs, you can create a game plan easier to beat them because you know what you're going to get every night.
Yeah.
This was the first time we've ever seen a team hack a bin.
It's very true.
I mean, like, I don't know if any other team ever thought about that, but they hacked the bid and they really stopped. They scared him so much that he blew it open. That he decided instead of taking an open dunk, he passed the ball.
Yeah.
He was wide open.
Yep.
That made a difference. They what they did was their plan was it had a mental game plan. They really like screwed Ben Simmons. And
yes,
really what was they won half the battle just by doing that because Ben Simmons, even though I talk a lot of shit about him, he has one of the best basketball minds in the league. And if you take his mind away from the game, then he has nothing else left. Yes, he can play defense at a high level, but if you scare him enough that he doesn't even want to shoot a free throw, he's scared to shoot a free throw because he's such a liability on offense. Then you pull him out of the game. Now he can't facilitate, he can't assist, he can't do what he's really good at, make the team better.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that they were built in that way, and Ben Simmons was not really. He was a negative on the offensive end a lot of the times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So basically, the Atlanta Hawks had 7 to 8 legitimate shot creators on the team, which created a real problem matchup. In a 7-game series, when you have so many shot creators can have big games. So Lou Williams might have a game with 25. So could Danilo Gallinari. Trae Young will lose his mind for a little bit. So their highest offensive output in a 7-game series was so much greater than the 76ers that they could have games where they blow them out. And it was really hard for the 76ers to beat them, who had a very consistent level of scoring. And that's why they beat them. They beat the team with quote unquote more talent because they were a bad matchup for the 76ers. Because of the way they played, the talent they had, and because of Trae Young's most common play in basketball is the pick and roll. And even though Embiid's a great player, he's not a great fit facing a guard who's going to, now you can switch to Embiid, or Embiid's in drop coverage. Now Trae Young can expose him the whole series.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that breakdown of the 76ers versus the Atlanta Hawks, and that the Atlanta Hawks' greatest output being so much better than 76ers that in a 7-game series, they're just going to have games where you just can't beat them?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, like, with Trae Young, like, you don't know what you're going to get. Just know there's going to be anywhere from, in the playoffs, it's going to be 30-plus point game, right? Then you have Kevin Hunter who could explode. John Collins who could have a 20-25 point per game. Point game. Kevin Hunter was hurt during that time. You have Gallinari, like you said, could drop 25. Lou Will can come off the bench and drop 25. But the only person who's really dropping big points that entire series is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid can have like 30, 40-point games. If you take out Ben Simmons, he's scoring 8 points a game, 2 points a game, 4 points a game. Seth Curry is going to have a big game. He might have about 20 points per game, 20 points a game. But you have maybe 1 through 8 who can give you 20 plus points per game. You don't have enough. You don't have enough defense. You don't have enough offense to even combat that. So you lose. That's really what happened. They really outscored them. It became a scoring game because they just didn't have enough. They couldn't match up to their scoring ability, to the scoring ability of the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah. So basically, in every game, that the Atlanta Hawks won, there was a guy that had an abnormally good game. So the first game that the Atlanta Hawks won, Bogdan Bogdanovic had 21 points. John Collins has 21 points. Game 2, Bogdanovic has 22 points that they win. Game 3 that they win, Danilo Gallinari drops 16. Lou Williams drops 15. And Game 4, Kevin Huerter was the leading scorer, had 27 points. Danilo Gallinari has 17 points. So you can see statistically, it backs up what we're saying here is just they had such a higher level of offensive output than in a 7-game series. They're going to have games that they would win because their offensive output was so much greater and their highest upside of their offensive output was just so much greater than the 76ers. So what do you think about that matchup, the statistics, and that point that we're trying to make here?
Statistically, with the 27-point game, the 15-point game, the 16-point game, and the fact that some of these guys they're not just, it's not, okay, so, for example, Kevin Huerter, he has a 27-point game. But what did the rest of the team score is the question. You know what I mean? So the fact of the matter is that you may have a high game from one guy, but 27, but what did Trae Young have? He had like 22. Did John Collins have like 19? These are consistently they have individual explosions, but they're very consistent scorers. The whole team is. So when you have that, no matter if Kevin Huerter drops 27, but the rest of the team might just have 20. That's the problem.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, that's the kind of point that we're making with these matchups and that we're trying to make with this series is we're going to point out to you historically why teams have made upsets. And a lot of the reasons why is their greatest strength. The other teams is usually the other team's greatest weakness. The 76ers' greatest weakness was a mix of Trae Young and the pick and roll. They weren't built to stop a guard like that. And a very consistent team facing off against a highly high output team with a lot of individual scorers that are naturally going to have abnormally big games because in a 7-game period, it's natural.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why they pulled off this upset, Chris. What do you have to say before we call it a day for this one?
No, that's exactly why they pulled this upset because I keep pushing the fact that when you have a team that just outscores you. You know what I mean? It's nothing you can do about it. We mentioned, and I'm gonna what I think. What you say? It was they had John Collins had 16 and Gallinari had 15, or was Bogdan had 16 and Gallinari had 15? Whichever one.
It was Game 3. Lou Williams had 15. Gallinari had 16. Yeah.
What did the rest of the team look like? Because this is a team of highly skilled scorers, So you have to think about, these two guys went off, had a pretty good game, but what did the rest of the team look like that game? Who was the highest scorer in that game? Yeah, they went off together, had a usual, but in the 7-game series, it's going to happen more often, especially because now they getting used to the defensive scheme because you're consistent. They know what you're going to do offensively. Now every game is going to be a lot differently. It's easier for I'm going to go off this game. Okay, you go off next game. It's easier for that to happen when you know what the line is, the potential of the other team. That's the line. When you know that this is as far as they can go, you know how to jump over that. It's easier.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Chris, and this is what led to one of the greatest recent upsets in NBA history in that season. So, yeah, this is the point of this series is what we're going to be breaking this down for you guys 14 times, 14 different matchups, 14 different teams, so you guys can really get, because not every team has a bunch of scores like this. There's different built teams and there's different reasons why teams win. So definitely want to keep on checking out this series as it keeps on dropping. And the next one, a little bit of the teaser. The next one is the Miami Heat. The 5 seed beat the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. They sweep them. Actually, no, it was 4-1, 2020. The year before the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA Finals. We're going to break down to you why the Miami Heat beat them and how you can make decisions moving forward about maybe Miami Heat beating other teams. Do you have anything else you want to say, Chris?
No, that was solid, man.
Sounds great. All right, well, I'm Jason Collins.
I'm Chris Muhammad.
And we are the Basketball Addicts.
Peace.
Out.